Finding hope in life's struggles. Does Jesus really care?
When life takes everything you love, when storms rage, when hope feels lost, does anyone really care?
Lord, I'm so tired. Where are you when I need you most?
Hannah, faith is in the absence of pain. It's trusting God even when you can't see the way forward.
One woman's journey through grief, betrayal, fear, and overwhelming loss will test her faith like never before.
The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and He saves those crushed in spirit. I will trust you, Lord, even now.
Finding hope in life's struggles. Does Jesus really care? Witness a true story of faith, perseverance, and the unstoppable love of God. Playing now, only on Christian Inspirations Original.
Lord, I will trust you, even when I can't feel you.
Before we begin this powerful story, I want to speak directly to you watching right now. Maybe you're carrying a pain no one sees. Maybe you've cried prayers that feel unanswered. Maybe you've asked the same question Hannah asked. Does Jesus really care about what I'm going through? This movie is more than a story. It's a reminder that God sees. God knows. God cares. So I encourage you, watch this movie to the very end. Because Hannah's journey may look different from yours, but the hope she discovers is the same hope available to you today. And we would love to stand with you in prayer. If you are believing God for something, healing, provision, comfort, direction, restoration, write your prayer request in the comments. Our Christian Inspirations family prays together, and we believe in the power of agreement. If this movie blesses you, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, subscribe to Christian Inspirations for more faith-building stories. You are not watching this by accident. God may be using this moment to remind you, you are not alone. Let us pray together before we begin. Heavenly Father, we thank you for every person watching right now. You see their struggles. You know their silent tears. You understand the battles they don't talk about. Lord, for the one who feels overwhelmed, be their peace. For the one facing financial pressure, be their provider. For the one grieving, be their comforter. For the one who feels forgotten, remind them they're deeply loved by you. Strengthen their faith today. Renew their hope. Let this story speak directly to their heart and remind them that you are near, even in the storm. We place every burden into your hands, Lord, and we declare that hope is rising, faith is growing, and breakthrough is coming. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
Hannah, I have known you almost all my life. We walked to school together, fetched water together, prayed together, even cried together when life felt confusing. But today, there is something different about you. Your eyes look softer, your smile comes and goes like you are hiding a sweet secret in your heart, and every time I mention the market road, you suddenly look like someone remembering a beautiful song. So please, don't keep me in suspense any longer. Tell me what is happening inside that quiet heart of yours, because this is the first time I have seen you glow like this over someone. Tina, I didn't plan to tell anyone yet, because it feels so new and fragile, like a small flame that I am still protecting with both hands. But since you are my sister in everything, I cannot hide it from you. Something happened on the road to the market today when I was walking with my mother, and ever since then, my heart has been strangely light, like a window opened and fresh air came in. We were just walking as usual, my mother talking about the price of tomatoes and how things are getting more expensive, when suddenly a man greeted us so respectfully that my mother stopped walking. Not just a quick greeting, Tina, but a greeting that carried warmth, humility, and honor, the kind of greeting that makes you feel seen as a person, not just passed by like a shadow. When I looked up, it was Tony. You remember him, right? The young man from our village who traveled to the city years ago to struggle for a better life. He looked older, stronger, but his eyes were still gentle. The way he spoke to my mother, calling her mama with such sincerity, it touched something deep in me. Wait, Tony, that Tony, the one that we used to sing songs from his albums and they used to say he is hardworking songwriter and quiet song teacher. Hannah, this is serious. Continue, don't skip anything. What happened next? Did your mother recognize him? What did he say? Don't rush this part. I want every detail. Oh, my mother recognized him immediately. Her whole face lit up, and she began telling me stories about his late father, how kind he was, how he helped people quietly without looking for praise. My mother said Tony carries the same spirit. Hearing that made me look at him differently, not just as a man passing by, but as someone whose roots were planted in goodness. Then Tony said something so simple, but it has stayed in my heart. He told my mother he had just returned from the city for a short visit and had not yet had time to buy anything to eat. He asked her, very politely, if she could help him buy something small from the market, and that he would come to our house in the evening to collect it. Tina, the way he asked was not demanding, not careless, it was humble. Like he didn't assume we owed him anything. And when he spoke, his voice was calm and deep, not loud, not proud. So tell me, my dear future wife of somebody we love, did your mother buy it? A bag stop. Yes, she did. She bought bread and groundnut. She said, even if he doesn't come, we will still eat it. And I told her, Mama, bread and groundnut is already my favorite snack, so nothing will be wasted. But inside, Tina, I was hoping he would come. I don't even know why it mattered so much to me, but it did. All evening I kept listening for footsteps outside, pretending I was busy helping my mother, but my ears were at the door. I kept telling myself not to be foolish, not to let my heart run ahead of reality. Yet there was this quiet joy in me, the kind that comes when something good might be beginning. You know, the Bible says in Psalm chapter 37 verse 4, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." I'm not saying Tony is that desire yet, but for the first time, I felt like maybe God remembered that I am also a woman with a heart that can love. Hannah, this is beautiful. Do you know why this makes me so happy? Because you have always been the strong one, the prayerful one, the one encouraging everyone else to trust God. But sometimes I worried you were forgetting that God also writes love stories, not just testimonies of survival. The way you describe Him, His respect, His gentleness, the way He spoke to your mother, those things matter. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 4 talks about the beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, and I believe that kind of spirit can be in a man too. Character lasts longer than charm. And the fact that your mother knows his family, knows his background, that is not small. It means his story is not hidden. It means you are not stepping into darkness, but into something with roots. That's what gives me peace, Tina. It's not just that he is handsome or that his voice is nice, though, his voice is really nice. It's deeper than that. When he spoke, I felt safe. Not excited in a loud way, but calm in a steady way. Like my heart was saying, you can trust this. I've prayed for years that if I ever fall in love, it should be with someone who fears God, someone who respects people, someone whose presence brings peace, not confusion. The Bible says, the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits. That is the kind of life partner I have asked God for. I don't know what will happen, Tina. Maybe he will just collect his bread and groundnut and that will be the end of it. But for the first time, I feel my heart opening a little, like a door that has been closed for a long time. Then let it open, Hannah. Slowly, wisely, prayerfully, but don't be afraid. Sometimes the same God who carries us through storms is the God who sends someone to walk beside us before the storm even comes. And if this Tony is truly from the Lord, then what is starting with bread and groundnut today might become a lifetime of sharing burdens, prayers, and dreams together. Amen.
She didn't know then that the gentle man with the respectful greeting would one day become her greatest love, and later, her deepest loss. But in that innocent beginning, God was already writing a story of love, faith, and hope that would be tested by fire.
Hannah, my daughter, please go and open the door. Something in my heart tells me that young man has come, and it is not good to keep a visitor standing outside when the evening air is already turning cold.
Hannah, how are you doing? Is Mama in?
Yes, you are welcome. Come inside.
Good evening, Mama. Good evening, Hannah. I truly hope I am not coming at an inconvenient time. I have been looking forward to stopping by, not just because of what you helped me by, but because it means a lot to step again into a place where I am known, where my name still carries memory and not just survival.
Tony, my son, you are welcome, more than welcome. This house has known your footsteps since you were a small boy running around without slippers. Feel free to sit well and rest yourself. A visitor connected to good memories is not an inconvenience, he is a blessing.
Thank you, Mama. The moment I stepped through the doorway, something inside me became quiet in a good way. The city is loud, not just in sound but in spirit. People rush, struggle, compete, and sometimes forget to be human. But this house still feels like a place where people see each other, not just use each other.
Look here, my son. I bought the bread and groundnut just like you asked. I told Hannah that even if you did not come, nothing would be wasted, because in this house we are grateful for whatever we have. But in my heart, I believed you would keep your word.
Mama, this is more than food to me. Bread and groundnut has followed me through many seasons of my life. When I had little, it reminded me that I still had something. When I was tired, it gave me strength to keep moving. Even in school, while others laughed at my simple snack, I held onto it like a reminder that humble beginnings are not shameful. Tonight, this tastes like kindness, like being remembered.
Tony, tell me about your life now. Are you still in school, or has the struggle of the city swallowed that dream like it has done to so many young people?
Yes, Mama, I am still in school, though the journey has not been straight or easy. There were moments when I had to pause, not because I wanted to, but because survival demanded attention. I have worked jobs that left my body aching and my mind exhausted, but even on the hardest days, I refused to let go of the belief that education is a key God placed in my hand. Life has taught me that passion alone is not enough. You need endurance, faith, and sometimes tears that no one sees. But I hold on to the promise in Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 that says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." That verse has carried me through nights when giving up felt easier than continuing.
My son, the way you speak tells me you have seen both hardship and grace. What course are you studying that has shaped your mind and your spirit like this?
Mama, I am studying law.
Law, Tony, that is a long road filled with heavy costs. Law is not just school, it is years of books, exams, and then law school again. Where will the sponsorship come from? How will you carry such a dream when even feeding yourself has not always been certain?
Mama, I ask myself those same questions sometimes, especially on nights when the numbers do not add up. But I have learned that not every journey begins with full provision, some begin with full faith. I do what I can with what I have, and I trust God with what I do not have. I have seen Him open doors I did not know existed. I have met people who helped me without knowing my full story. I believe deeply in Psalm chapter 37 verse 5, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him and He will act." I am committing this dream to Him. I may walk slowly, but I am walking with hope.
Oh, Tony, you speak just like your late father used to speak when he was young. That man believed tomorrow could be better even when today was painful. Your mother too, they were good people, Tony. Truly good. Sometimes I sit and wonder why life often takes the gentle ones early and leaves the harsh ones behind. It can make a person confused if they are not careful.
Mama, losing them changed me in ways I am still discovering. There were days I questioned God, days I felt abandoned, days I did not want to get out of bed. But slowly, I began to understand something. Their goodness did not disappear when they died. It became a seed planted in me. If I choose to live with integrity, if I choose to help others, if one day I stand in a courtroom defending the weak, then their lives are still speaking through mine. That thought gives meaning to my struggle. It reminds me that my story did not end with their absence.
God truly has His hand on you, my son. I can see it. The road may be hard, but a heart that trusts God will never walk alone. I believe the promise in Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 over your life, that He has plans for you, plans for hope and a future.
Thank you, Mama, for the food, for your prayers, and for remembering my parents with honor. Not everywhere still speaks kindly of those who are gone. This visit has fed more than my stomach, it has strengthened my heart. I should start heading back before the night becomes too dark on the road.
Hannah, my daughter, please escort him to the gate. A guest should never leave this house feeling like a stranger, especially one whose journey is still being written by God.
I would be honored to have you walk with me, Hannah.
It was just bread and groundnut. Just a simple visit. Just a short walk to the gate. But heaven was watching, because sometimes, the greatest love stories begin in the smallest, most ordinary moments. Moments that later become memories strong enough to carry a heart through unimaginable storms.
Hannah, thank you for walking me out. I know it may seem like a small gesture, but moments like this matter to me more than people realize. Life in the city has a way of making everything feel rushed, transactional, and loud. But walking beside someone in quietness, hearing crickets instead of car horns, feeling night air instead of crowded buses, it reminds me that life is not only about survival. It can still be about connection, about peace, about the simple joy of not being alone in a moment.
I'm glad you feel that way, Tony, because I was thinking the same thing. Sometimes I feel like life moves too fast, even here in the village, but moments like this slow everything down. It feels like the world becomes smaller in a good way, like problems shrink and hearts become more open. I almost didn't want this walk to end before it even began.
You speak with a calmness that is rare, Hannah. It's like your words don't rush ahead of your heart. Tell me something, if you don't mind sharing. How far did you go with your education? Your mother mentioned nothing, but I can tell from the way you think and speak that you once carried big dreams too.
I did carry dreams, Tony. I loved school deeply. I used to believe I would go far, maybe even become a teacher or work in an office where I could help people. But when my father passed away, everything changed overnight. The house grew quieter, but the responsibilities grew louder. Fees became impossible, and my mother needed help more than I needed a classroom. So I stopped, not because I stopped loving education, but because life demanded something else from me. Sometimes I still feel the ache of that unfinished chapter. But I remind myself of Romans 8:28, that all things work together for good for those who love God. Maybe my path just took a different shape than I expected.
Hannah, I understand that pain more than I can explain. Being an orphan is not just about losing parents, it is about losing the safety net that most people don't even realize they have. Even as a man, with strength and energy to hustle, there are nights I sit alone and tears come without permission. I remember my parents' voices, their advice, the way they believed in me. And in those quiet moments, the world can feel very heavy. But one of the gifts God gave me freely, something no one could take away, is music. Singing has been my refuge, my therapy, my prayer when words fail me. Sometimes I sing not because I am happy, but because I am trying to find happiness again.
Oh, Tony. Your songs, we used to talk about them even before you came back. There is something about your voice that carries peace. When you sing, it feels like you are not just performing, but praying with melody. I never knew it meant so much to you personally.
It means everything to me. Music gave me a reason to smile when life gave me reasons to break. It also became a way for me to earn something small but steady. You may not believe this, but sometimes my music brings me more income than a government job would at this stage of my life. I sing at small events, church programs, community gatherings. And recently, I even started printing small song booklets, lyrics, devotionals, simple encouragement people can carry with them. It may not look big to others, but to me, it is proof that God can use the smallest gift to open unexpected doors.
That is incredible, Tony. You turned your pain into purpose and your talent into provision. Not everyone knows how to do that. Some people drown in their sorrow, but you built something from it. That is not ordinary strength. That is grace at work.
Maybe it is grace, because I know there were moments I could have chosen bitterness instead. But every time I stood at that crossroads, I remembered Psalm chapter 30 verse 5, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I decided to keep walking toward the morning, even when the night felt long. Hannah, I don't want this to be the last time we talk like this. Conversations like this are rare. Most people talk about things, you talk about meaning. I would really like to see you again, during the day, when we don't have to worry about darkness or time. There is so much more I would like to know about you, your thoughts, your hopes, the parts of your story that shaped who you are.
I would like that too, Tony. I didn't realize how much I missed having conversations that feed the heart, not just pass the time. We can meet again. There is no harm in two people talking, especially when the conversation brings light instead of confusion.
Then I will hold on to that. I will come again, not just for bread and groundnut, but for the company of someone who reminds me that gentle hearts still exist in this world.
They thought it was just a conversation at the gate. Just two young hearts sharing stories under the moonlight. But heaven was quietly weaving threads of love, purpose, and destiny together. Because the man who sang to survive, and the woman who sacrificed her dreams for family, were about to discover that God was writing a story far greater than either of them could see.
Hannah, my daughter, come and sit down here beside me. I have been watching the door for a long time now, and I kept telling myself, surely she only walked him to the gate and will soon return. But time kept moving, the crickets grew louder, and still you did not come back. So tell me, my daughter, what kind of discussion holds two young people standing at a gate for more than an hour as if the night itself has stopped moving?
Mama, it truly did not feel like time was passing. At first, I thought I would just walk him to the gate and come right back, but when we started talking, it was like the conversation kept opening new doors. Every topic led to another, and before I knew it, the moon was already high. Tony did not even feel like leaving, and honestly, I was not in a hurry to end it either. It felt like talking to someone who listens with his heart, not just his ears.
So conversation has now become sweeter than sleep in this house. Tell me everything you talked about, because when a discussion stretches that long, it means something deeper than ordinary words was flowing. What did he ask you that made you forget the time?
He asked about my education, Mama. He said he could tell I once loved school and wanted to know how far I went. So I told him the truth, how everything changed after Papa died, how school stopped not because I stopped caring, but because life demanded something else from me. I told him there are still nights I wonder what might have been if things were different, but I also trust that God still has a plan for my life, even if it doesn't look the way I once imagined. And Mama, he did not just nod and move on like most people do. He listened deeply, like my story mattered. Then he shared his own struggles, how losing his parents shaped him, how there are nights he still cries quietly when memories come back. It was the first time I saw that strength and softness can live in the same person.
That boy has carried more than people know. I could hear it even in the way he spoke earlier. Pain can either harden a heart or deepen it. It sounds like his has been deepened. But you said you talked for long, it couldn't have ended with just stories about school.
No, Mama, it didn't. He told me about his singing, not just as a talent, but as something that kept him alive emotionally and even financially. He said music became his comfort when grief felt too heavy, and over time it became a small business for him. He sings at events, church programs, gatherings, and he even started printing little song booklets with lyrics and messages of hope. Mama, the way he described it, it didn't sound like he was just trying to make money. It sounded like he believes his voice is a gift from God, something he must use to bless others. He said if not for music, he doesn't know where his mind would have gone in his darkest seasons.
I even forgot to ask him about his singing when he was here. See how old age makes the mind skip important things. But I am glad you heard that part of his story. A person who turns pain into something that blesses others is not an ordinary person. That is how God shapes vessels, through fire, not comfort.
That is exactly how it felt, Mama. Talking to him didn't feel empty. It felt like I was seeing how God can carry someone through loss and still give them purpose. And before he left, he said something that has stayed in my heart. He said he would really like for us to meet again in the daytime, to talk more when we are not worried about darkness or time. He said conversations like ours are rare, and he wants to understand me better.
And what did you tell him, my daughter? Because words spoken at the beginning of something can shape where it goes.
I told him there is no harm in talking again, especially when the conversation brings peace and not confusion. I didn't promise anything beyond that, Mama. Just time to talk more, to know each other as people.
That is good. Friendship that begins with conversation and understanding is stronger than attraction that begins only with eyes. You may talk with him again, there is no problem with that. Just make sure your heart stays guided by wisdom and prayer. And also make sure your meetings do not suddenly appear whenever I send you to fetch water or buy something from the market. Because love is sweet, yes, but responsibility still lives in this house.
Mama, I will not forget my duties. But, I cannot deny that tonight felt special, like the beginning of a chapter I did not know was waiting for me.
Sometimes, my daughter, destiny does not knock loudly. It enters quietly through simple things, like bread, groundnut, and a long conversation at a gate. But remember, every good thing must be built with patience, prayer, and character.
That night, Hannah went to sleep with a gentle smile and a heart quietly awakened to love. But neither she nor her mother knew that this simple beginning would one day be tested by loss, faith, and the deepest question of all, when everything falls apart, does Jesus really care?
Tina, you will not believe what happened today. Tony came to our house, just like he said he would. And oh, Tina, after he arrived, we sat and talked with Mama for the longest time. I mean, we didn't just exchange greetings and small talk, we talked about life, about his experiences, about dreams, and Tina, it felt so natural, like time didn't exist. When it was finally time for him to go, Mama asked me to see him off at the gate. Can you imagine that? I was supposed to just walk him to the gate, but, my dear, we ended up standing there for more than an hour, just talking as if the moonlight itself was listening to us. Bright more than an hour at the gate. Hannah, didn't Mama call you in? That means even before anything, she had already given her support. She just let you two talk that long. Yes, Tina, Mama's heart is so different from what I thought. She didn't say a word to hurry us, she just trusted the moment and trusted him. It was like she already knew something important was happening. It made me realize, sometimes, support comes quietly, not with lectures or warnings, but with faith that God is watching over small beginnings. Wow, that's amazing. So tell me, Hannah, what were you really talking about for all that time? You can't just leave me hanging like this. Was it love? Was it life? Or was it one of those moments where hearts just meet in understanding? It was everything, Tina, everything I never expected. First, he asked me about my schooling, about my dreams, and I told him honestly. I told him how I had to stop school after Papa died, how life demanded more responsibility than I could handle at the time, and how I still sometimes wonder what my life would have been if things had been different. And Tina, he didn't just listen. He really listened, as if my words were treasures, not just stories to fill time. Then, he started telling me about himself. He shared how he uses his singing gift, not just as a talent, but as a lifeline. He told me about the nights he spent crying quietly when he thought no one was watching, and how music became his refuge, his way to survive, to find joy, and even to earn a living. Tina, he didn't make it sound like bragging, he made it sound like a calling. Every song, every small concert, every little songbook he prints, it's all part of his way to honor God while also making a life for himself. And you know what? It made me see how someone could turn pain into purpose, sadness into something meaningful. Hannah, is he serious? Is he really doing all that? That's not just ordinary talent, he's using his gift to survive and glorify God at the same time. Yes, Tina, he is serious. And that's not all. He told me he is in school, studying law at the university. Can you imagine that? Here's a young man with grief in his past, with responsibilities pressing on him, and yet he is pushing himself to study law while building a music career at the same time. He said he wants to make a difference, that he believes God will see him through, even when the journey is hard. Tina, it made me admire him so much. I mean, how can someone carry such weight and still have hope in their heart? Hannah, that's extraordinary, truly extraordinary. I can see why you stayed with him at the gate so long. He's not just talking, he's living his faith, even in the smallest actions. And he seems like he respects your story, your pain, and your dreams. That's rare. Most people can't handle honesty like that. Exactly, Tina. And before he left, he made a request. He said he would really like to meet again in the daytime. Not at night, not hurriedly, but when we can really sit and talk more, about our lives, our hopes, even our fears. And Tina, I agreed. I want to hear more of his story. I want him to know mine. It felt natural, like it should happen. Hannah, this is beautiful. You're seeing something rare, Someone who understands life, who understands heartache, who carries God's light even in hardship. And he sees you, he respects your story too. This could be the beginning of something truly extraordinary. But you must be careful too, my dear. Life is full of distractions, and hearts can be fragile. You have to walk this with prayer, patience, and wisdom. I know, Tina, I'm not rushing anything, but I can't deny how peaceful it felt to talk to him. To hear his heart, to see that even in the midst of struggle, someone can hold on to hope and purpose. I think, sometimes God places people in your path to remind you that life can still be beautiful, even after loss. Yes, and sometimes those people become mirrors. They show you what is possible, what faith looks like in real life. I can tell, Hannah, this boy, he's going to challenge you, inspire you, and maybe even change the way you see your own path. You must be ready for that, for joy, for tests, and for growth. I think I'm ready, Tina. I think, maybe, just maybe, God is reminding me that hope can still come, even in the most unexpected ways. And perhaps, I was meant to meet him, not just for my heart, but for my faith too.
Two hearts meeting under moonlight, sharing dreams, pain, and hope, a gift of music, a path of law, a young woman learning to trust again. But as their friendship deepens, questions of faith, loss, and destiny begin to stir. For in every joy God sends, challenges often wait quietly in the wings, waiting to test the strength of the heart that dares to hope.
Brother, sometimes I don't even know how to explain what life has become for me in the city. Every single day feels like a battle I didn't prepare for, a race where the starting gun fired before I even found my shoes. I wake up before the sun, not because I am full of strength and motivation, but because fear pushes me out of bed, fear of unpaid rent, fear of school fees deadlines, fear of hunger staring me in the face if I slow down even a little. You know I am studying law, and people think that means I'm already on the path to success, but they don't see the nights I go to bed with only water in my stomach, or the mornings I stand in front of the mirror asking myself if determination alone is enough to carry a man through storms that never seem to end. There are days I go from classes straight to small music jobs, singing anywhere they will let me hold a microphone, just to gather money that disappears before I can even breathe. House rent waits for no one. School fees do not understand. Try your best. Life in the city is not just expensive, it is merciless. And sometimes, brother, sometimes when I see people my age walking with women they love, talking about marriage and future plans, I feel a deep ache in my chest. Not jealousy, not bitterness, just the pain of knowing that at this age, I should be thinking about building a home, not just surviving another month without drowning in debt.
Tony, when you talk like this, it's like hearing the echo of my own heart, only from a different direction. You say the city is swallowing you, but do you think the village is feeding me? Since Papa died, it's like the roof of this family was removed, and rain has been beating us from every side without mercy. You left for the city with hope in your pocket and dreams in your eyes, but I remained here with responsibilities that grew faster than crops in the rainy season. Every morning I wake up not to opportunity, but to the same tired soil, the same small farm that refuses to yield enough, the same bills, the same expectations that a first son must somehow hold the family together even when his own hands are empty. People look at you and say, at least Tony is in the city, studying law, chasing something big. They look at me and see a man who never left, a man tied to the village like a goat to a peg. But what they don't understand is that staying was not comfort, it was sacrifice. I stayed because someone had to. I stayed because I know if we all move to the city, who will take care of the compound? So when you say life is hard, I believe you. But don't think for a second that the village has been a place of rest for me. It has been a quiet battlefield where nobody claps for your effort and nobody sees when you cry at me.
Brother, I know you have carried a weight I cannot fully understand, and I will never pretend that my struggle cancels yours. But sometimes I feel like we are both standing in different rivers, both drowning, both hoping the other one can swim well enough to save the family. I didn't come to you because I think you have plenty. I came because you are my brother. Because even when pockets are empty, hearts can still remember each other. I am not asking you to solve my life today. I am not asking you to carry my burdens on top of yours. But if there is ever a moment, any moment at all, when something small comes your way, a connection, an opportunity, even just someone willing to listen, please remember me. Especially when it comes to my law school journey. That part of my life feels like a mountain I am climbing with bare hands. Sometimes I fear that I might come this far only to stop at the gate because I couldn't afford the final step. And that thought scares me more than hunger, more than rent, more than exhaustion, the fear of almost becoming something, and then watching it slip away.
Tony, my younger brother, listen to me carefully, not with emotion, but with the ears of a man who must survive reality. You are asking me to keep you in mind for support, to hope that one day I can push you forward toward law school and a better future. But I cannot even afford to build hope like that in my own heart. Hope, when it stretches too far beyond your strength, can break a man faster than hunger. You are dreaming of finishing school, becoming a lawyer, coming back to lift this family out of poverty. It sounds beautiful. It sounds like the kind of story people tell in church to encourage others. But life has not been telling us those kinds of stories. Life has been teaching us how to endure, not how to expect miracles. I wake up every day calculating how to make tomorrow possible, not how to finance a future that still looks like fog. If I start holding on to the idea that you will rise and rescue us all, and then life blocks that path, the disappointment could crush what little strength I have left. So I am not refusing you because I don't care. I am refusing to build castles in the air because I have lived too long on collapsing ground. If help comes, it will come. If opportunity appears, we will face it then. But right now, my mind is too busy fighting today's fire to plan how to water tomorrow's garden.
I hear you, brother, I truly do. And maybe you are right to protect your heart from expectations that life has not yet proven it can fulfill. But even if the road ahead is foggy, I cannot stop walking just because I cannot see the end. If I let go of the belief that tomorrow can be better, then today's suffering will have no meaning at all. I don't want to become a man who only survives. I want to become someone who can change the story of this family, even if it takes everything in me. So I will keep pushing. I will keep studying. I will keep singing. I will keep trusting that somehow, somewhere, God is writing a line in my story that I cannot yet read. And even if the world calls it impossible, I would rather die trying to reach that future than sit down and agree that poverty is our final name.
Two brothers, one drowning in the noise of the city, one buried in the silence of the village. Both fighting the same enemy called survival. But while one protects his heart from disappointment, the other dares to believe that destiny can still change. In a family where hope is a luxury, will Tony's faith be enough to carry them all, or will reality prove stronger than dreams? Stay with us and watch this story to the very end.
Hannah, I'm really glad I caught you before you left. I've been hoping for a chance to speak with you since the service ended, because there's something I didn't want to leave unsaid. Tomorrow being Monday, I'll most likely be returning to the city, and even though I've only been back in the village for a short while, it already feels like time moved too fast. There are conversations I'm grateful we had, moments that stayed with me longer than I expected, and I just felt strongly that before I go back to the noise and pressure of city life, I needed to see you again, not by chance on the road, but intentionally, calmly, with time to truly talk.
I'm really glad you said that, Tony, because I would have felt the same way if you had left without us sitting down again. In fact, I already mentioned it to my mother that you were hoping we could meet properly in the daytime to talk more, and she didn't see anything wrong with it. She actually seemed pleased that our conversations have been meaningful and respectful. So you don't have to worry about that part. It's not like we're sneaking around or doing something hidden. It's simply two people taking time to understand each other better, and I believe that's always a good thing when it's done with the right intentions.
That really means a lot to hear. There's something comforting about knowing things are happening in the open, with peace and understanding, not confusion or secrecy. I've learned the hard way that anything worth building in life must begin with clarity and honor. That's actually part of why I didn't want to leave without seeing you again. Life in the city can be loud and demanding, and sometimes meaningful connections get buried under survival. I didn't want what started here, our conversations, the way we listen to each other, to just fade into memory without giving it a chance to grow into something deeper, whether that ends up being friendship, partnership, or simply a blessing we both carry forward.
I understand that more than you know. Some people come into your life loudly and disappear quickly, but others arrive quietly and leave an imprint that stays. Our talks haven't felt forced or shallow. They've felt peaceful, like when two people speak and neither one has to pretend to be stronger, richer, or more put together than they really are. That kind of honesty is rare, and I don't take it lightly. So yes, I would really like us to sit somewhere calmly and talk again before you go back.
Would it be alright if we made it this evening then? I was thinking maybe we could find a small cafe in town, somewhere quiet, where we can sit without rushing, just talk freely about life, dreams, faith, and whatever else is on our hearts. I don't want it to feel like a big event, just a meaningful pause before I return to everything waiting for me in the city.
This evening works well. My mother actually has a meeting to attend around that time, so I'll be free without worrying that I'm leaving her with things undone at home. It feels like the timing is lining up naturally, and I believe when things fall into place peacefully like that, it's a good sign. We can go, sit, and talk without rushing or looking over our shoulders.
That sounds perfect. Would 5 p.m. be okay? Not too late, not too early, just enough time for us to sit while the day is still bright, but quiet enough that we won't be interrupted much. I want this to be a conversation we both remember, not just another quick exchange before life pulls us in different directions again.
5 o'clock is fine, I'll be there, and I'm glad you said you want it to be memorable, because I feel the same. Something about this meeting feels important, not pressured, not rushed, just meaningful. Like a page turning softly in a book whose story we haven't fully read yet.
Then it's settled. 5 o'clock at the cafe. Thank you, Hannah, not just for agreeing to meet, but for the kindness and openness you've shown me since the first day we spoke. Sometimes God sends encouragement through people instead of miracles, and I can honestly say these past conversations with you have strengthened me more than you realize.
And you've encouraged me too, Tony. Hearing how you keep going despite everything you're facing reminds me that faith isn't just something we talk about in church, it's something we live out when life is heavy. Maybe that's part of why our conversations feel different. They're not just about feelings, they're about purpose and trust in God's plan.
I believe that, and maybe, just maybe, this meeting tonight is the beginning of something neither of us fully understands yet.
An evening meeting, a simple cafe, two hearts carrying quiet hope. But sometimes the conversations we look forward to the most become the ones that change our lives forever.
You know, Hannah, sitting here like this feels different from the other times we've talked. Those moments were beautiful in their own way, spontaneous, unplanned, like small gifts hidden inside ordinary days. But this feels intentional. It feels like two people pausing long enough to ask themselves where they are going and whether their paths might somehow be meant to walk side by side. Life moves so fast, especially for someone like me who is always chasing deadlines, rent, school fees, and survival, that I rarely get to sit quietly and talk about the future without pressure shouting in my ears. Being here with you tonight feels like a breath of fresh air in the middle of a long, exhausting race.
I feel that too, Tony. There's something peaceful about this moment, like time decided to slow down just long enough for us to truly listen to each other. Most conversations these days feel rushed, distracted, or filled with people trying to impress one another. But this doesn't feel like that. It feels like honesty has room to breathe here. And maybe that's why I'm not nervous, even though we're talking about things that really matter, life, dreams, the future. It feels safe to speak truthfully, without pretending that everything is already perfect.
Since we're being honest, there's something I've been wanting to ask you, but I didn't want it to come at the wrong time or sound careless. Hannah, I've really come to respect the kind of person you are, your calm spirit, your sense of responsibility, your faith, and the way you think deeply before you speak. And it made me wonder, has there ever been someone in your life, relationship-wise? Someone you've seriously considered building a future with?
To be honest, Tony, there hasn't been anyone like that yet. Not because I don't believe in love or marriage, but because my heart has been focused on survival and unfinished dreams. When my father passed, it felt like life pressed the pause button on everything I once hoped to do, especially my education. Since then, most of my thoughts have been about how to stand again, how to help my mother, how to rebuild a future that felt like it slipped through my fingers too early. I've always told myself that before opening my heart to a relationship, I wanted to at least see a path forming again toward my education, because I know how easily responsibilities can multiply and make dreams harder to reach. It's not that I'm against love, I just didn't want it to become a distraction that divides my focus before I've found my footing again.
I really respect that, Hannah. It takes strength to think that way, especially in a world where many people rush into relationships just to escape loneliness or pressure. For me, it's been a little different. I've been thinking a lot about the future, about not walking through life alone, about having someone beside me who understands that success is a journey, not an instant miracle. I'm willing to start building a life with someone, but only with a woman who understands my reality, that I'm still climbing, still struggling, still in school, still turning my music into income little by little. I don't have a luxury lifestyle to offer right now. What I can offer is effort, faith, and a refusal to give up. My music can at least keep food on the table while I push toward becoming a lawyer, and I believe strongly that better days will come, even if they don't arrive overnight.
That kind of honesty is exactly what I've been praying for. Not a man who already has everything, but one who has vision and the heart to keep going even when things are hard. My own prayer has been simple but deep, that if I ever walk with someone, he would understand that I still carry the dream of going back to school, of becoming more than my current circumstances suggest. I don't want to be seen as someone who missed her chance, but as someone whose journey was delayed, not denied. I would need a man who sees that dream, respects it, and encourages me to pursue it, not someone who feels threatened by it or tries to silence it once family responsibilities grow.
Hannah, if the willingness is there, school is never truly out of reach. Life might delay things, but it doesn't have the final say when determination and God's grace are involved. I would never want to be the kind of man who holds back the woman walking beside him. In fact, I believe a strong home is built when both people grow, learn, and fulfill their purpose. Seeing you go back to school one day wouldn't threaten me, it would make me proud, because it would mean we're both moving forward, not one dragging the other behind. Hannah, I may not have riches or comfort to promise right now. What I have are dreams, faith, hard work, and a heart that truly values partnership. If you can see past my current struggles and not be discouraged by my weaknesses, would you be willing to start planning life with me? Not rushing into anything blindly, but walking intentionally, praying, supporting each other, and building step by step.
Yes, I would be willing. But just as you ask me to understand your journey, I would need you to truly understand mine too. I would be walking with a man who carries responsibilities, pressure, and big goals, and I would gladly stand beside him through that. But I would also need to know that even after marriage, even after children, even when life becomes busy, you would still be the kind of man who looks at me and says, "Go back to school. Finish what you started. Become who God created you to be." If we can encourage each other's growth like that, then I believe what we build won't just be a relationship, it will be a partnership with purpose.
I love that passion in you, Hannah. It tells me you're not just thinking about today's comfort, but tomorrow's purpose. That's the kind of spirit I want to walk beside, someone who believes that life can keep growing, no matter where it starts. Then let's begin this journey together, with prayer, patience, and trust in God's timing. I'll be leaving tomorrow, but I won't be leaving empty-hearted. Now I'll be going back to the city knowing there's someone here whose voice, faith, and dreams will be part of my motivation. And I promise, it won't be long before I return again, especially now that I know there's someone who will make me feel missed if I stay away too long.
A simple cafe, two honest hearts, promises not built on wealth, but on faith and shared dreams. They left that table believing love had found them gently, but neither of them knew how fiercely that love would soon be tested.
Hannah, mornings like this always feel heavier than they should. It's strange how just a few days in one place, with the right person, can make leaving feel harder than months of struggle somewhere else. As I sit here at this bus stop about to return to the city, I realize that this trip home gave me more than rest. It gave me clarity, encouragement, and a sense that my future is not just about survival anymore, but about building something meaningful with someone who understands the journey. Meeting you, talking with you, praying in my heart about the things we shared, it has changed how I'm going back. I'm not just returning to hustle, I'm returning with purpose.
Tony, I feel the same way. When we first started talking, I didn't know where the conversations would lead, but now it feels like God allowed our paths to cross for a reason that's bigger than either of us can fully see yet. Watching you leave this morning doesn't feel like an ending, it feels like the beginning of a journey that will require patience, faith, and courage from both of us. I won't pretend it's easy to say goodbye, but I feel peace in my heart, and that peace tells me we are placing this in God's hands, not trying to force anything ahead of His timing.
That peace you're talking about is the same thing I feel. It's not excitement without thought, and it's not fear either. It's a quiet assurance that even though the road ahead won't be simple, it will be guided. Before I come back again, I know there are important steps we both need to take, especially you speaking with your mother about everything we discussed. I respect her deeply, and I would never want her to feel like we are making plans behind her back or acting like children chasing emotions without wisdom. I'm grateful that you want to talk to her openly about our dreams, because any future worth building must start with honesty and blessing.
Yes, that's very important to me too. My mother has carried so much in this life, and her opinion matters deeply to me. I've been praying in my heart that when I speak with her, she won't just see two young people with little to show right now, but two people with vision, faith, and the willingness to work hard for a better tomorrow. I want her to understand that what we are talking about is not childish excitement, but a thoughtful decision to walk with someone who shares my values and my belief that God can take small beginnings and turn them into testimonies. I believe if she sees the sincerity in my heart, she will at least give us her blessing to keep moving forward step by step.
I will be praying for that too, Hannah. I will ask God to give her discernment, to see beyond today's limitations and catch a glimpse of the future He is preparing. Sometimes parents worry because they've seen life's disappointments, and they don't want their children to suffer. But I believe when God is involved, He can calm those fears and replace them with understanding. I don't want her to feel like you're tying your life to uncertainty. I want her to see that you're choosing a partner who may still be climbing, but who refuses to stop climbing.
That means a lot to hear. And while you're in the city, I want you to hold on to hope, even on the days when things feel overwhelming. Remember that there's someone here praying for you, believing in your dreams, and trusting that the same God who brought us together will also make a way for everything else to fall into place. Distance may stretch between us for a while, but prayer can cross any distance, and faith can keep hearts connected even when roads are long.
I will hold on to that, knowing that someone believes in me not just for who I might become, but for who I am right now, gives me strength I can't even fully explain. When the city feels loud and lonely, I'll remember this morning, this conversation, and the promises we've spoken with sincerity. And I'll work harder, not just for myself, but for the future we are trusting God to build. I have to go now, but this isn't goodbye, Hannah. It's just, see you soon, by God's grace.
See you soon, Tony. Travel safely, and don't forget, we are walking this journey with faith, not fear.
They parted with hope in their hearts and prayers on their lips. But neither of them knew how soon life's storms would begin to test the promises they made that morning.
Hannah, my daughter, where did you go so early this morning without telling me? I woke up and didn't see you in the house, and I began to look around, wondering if something urgent had happened. A mother's heart doesn't rest easily when her child is nowhere to be found at dawn. I kept telling myself you must be somewhere safe, but still, my mind kept asking questions until you walked back through that door just now.
Mama, I'm really sorry I left before you woke up. I didn't want to disturb your sleep because you looked so tired last night. I went to the bus stop to see Tony off. He was returning to the city this morning, and I felt it would not be right to let him leave without saying goodbye properly. We stood and talked for a while before the bus left, just sharing encouragement and praying silently in our hearts for the journey ahead.
So he left today. Time truly moves fast. Did you two get the chance to talk again like he said he wanted? I remember you telling me he hoped to sit with you properly before going back.
Yes, Mama, we did. Yesterday evening, while you were at your meeting, we met at a small cafe in town. We sat there for a long time, not in a careless way, but talking deeply about life, faith, dreams, and the future. It wasn't just laughter and sweet words, it was serious conversation about responsibility, purpose, and what it means to build a life that honors God even when starting from very little. He told me honestly about his struggles in the city, the pressure of school, rent, and survival, but he also spoke with faith that his hard work and God's grace will not be in vain. And Mama, he asked if I would be willing for us to start walking closely together, not rushing ahead of God, but intentionally building a future step by step.
So the conversation reached that level already. You young people don't waste time when hearts begin to understand each other. But tell me, my daughter, what did you tell him? Because words spoken at moments like that can shape the rest of life.
I told him yes, Mama, but not blindly, not without thought. I told him I would be willing if he also understood my own dreams, that I still carry the desire to return to school, to become someone who can stand strong tomorrow and not just depend on today's survival. I told him I would need a partner who encourages me, even after marriage and children, not someone who sees my growth as a threat or a burden, and he didn't dismiss it. He said he would be proud to see me go back to school one day, that a home grows stronger when both people fulfill their purpose. Mama, it didn't feel like empty promises. It felt like two people looking at reality and still choosing hope.
Hannah, love that begins with honesty and shared vision has a stronger foundation than love built only on feelings. I have watched you grow, and I know you are not a careless girl. Hearing you speak like this tells me you have thought deeply about what you are doing. Life is not easy, especially when two people start with little, but sometimes those who begin with little learn to depend on God more, and that dependence becomes their strength.
Mama, if life followed only what young people plan, I would say this without fear. Even if Tony came today and my family said, Hannah, go with him as his wife, I would go without waiting for big things to appear first. Because I believe the big things in life are not always what we see at the beginning, they are what God prepares along the journey when two people walk with faith, patience, and hard work. I'm not choosing him because he has everything. I'm choosing him because I see his heart, his determination, and his trust in God. I believe the rest can grow with time.
My daughter, a mother's heart always wants her child to enter a future that is safe, stable, and full of joy. But I also know that safety does not always come from money, and stability does not always come from a rich beginning. Sometimes it comes from character, faith, and the willingness to struggle together instead of running away when things are hard. I cannot promise you that the road ahead will be smooth, but I can promise you this: I will not stand as an obstacle to what may be God's plan for your life. I will do my best to make things easier for you both in the ways I can, and I will pray that the Lord who sees the end from the beginning will guide your steps better than my fears ever could.
Thank you, Mama, that means more to me than you know. Your support gives me peace, because I never wanted to move forward without your blessing. I believe with your prayers and God's guidance, whatever we build will stand, even if storms come.
Then we will walk this path with prayer, wisdom, and patience. Let everything be done in the right time and the right way. When something begins with God, it may be tested, but it will not be destroyed easily.
With a mother's blessing and hearts full of hope, the future seemed bright, even if the present was small. But destiny would soon ask a painful question. Can love and faith survive when life takes away what matters most?
Love doesn't always begin with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with bread and groundnuts, a long conversation at a gate, and two hearts discovering they are not alone in their struggles. Hannah and Tony did not meet in a season of abundance. They met in a season of becoming. They did not promise each other luxury. They promised faith, patience, and the courage to build from almost nothing. In a world where many wait to arrive before they dare to love, they chose to trust God in the middle of unfinished stories. A young woman with interrupted dreams, a young man fighting to survive in a city that shows no mercy, two lives joined not by comfort, but by conviction. And with a mother's cautious but sincere blessing, it seemed like heaven itself had quietly whispered, "Begin." But here is the truth: life often hides behind beautiful beginnings. Faith is easy to speak about in peaceful moments. Love is easy to promise when the future is still a blank page. Hope feels strong when loss is only a memory, not a fresh wound. What happens when the very dreams they shared are shaken? What happens when prayers seem to echo without answers? What happens when love that began with faith is forced to walk through fire? Because soon, very soon, life will test Hannah in ways she never imagined. Tony's strength will be stretched beyond his limits, and a question many believers are afraid to ask will rise from the depths of pain: Jesus, do you really care? The laughter of today will face the silence of tomorrow. The promises spoken in a cafe will be weighed against hospital walls, financial pressure, and tears cried in the dark. And the faith that brought two hearts together will be the only thing standing when everything else begins to fall apart. But don't miss this truth: storms do not come to destroy God's children, they come to reveal the depth of their roots. In episode 2, love will grow, but so will responsibility. Joy will visit their home, but it will not stay alone. Unexpected news will arrive that changes everything, and Hannah will begin a journey that will challenge not only her strength as a woman, but her faith as a believer. Will their love survive pressure? Will their faith survive loss? And when heaven feels silent, will they still trust the God they once praised so easily? Don't miss episode 2 of Finding Hope in Life's Struggles. Does Jesus really care? Because the story is only just beginning, and the next chapter will ask a question that may change how you see your own struggles forever. What a beautiful and emotional journey you've just witnessed. Moments like these remind us that love, faith, and destiny often begin quietly, in small conversations, in early morning goodbyes, and in brave decisions to speak from the heart. Before we go, let's take a moment to pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for every viewer watching right now. You see their hearts, their silent struggles, their private tears, and their unspoken dreams. Lord, just like Hannah and Tony, many of them are standing at crossroads, waiting for direction, longing for understanding, hoping their future will be brighter than their present. Father, step into their story. Where there is confusion, release clarity. Where there is delay, release divine timing. Where there is fear about the future, plant unshakable faith. Lord, touch families that are struggling to understand one another. Bring peace between parents and children. Give mothers wisdom. Give young people patience. Help homes become places where dreams are nurtured, not buried. For every viewer trusting you for love, marriage, purpose, or breakthrough, remind them that you are writing a story greater than they can see today. Strengthen them to wait the right way, to trust you in the quiet seasons, and to believe that what you have prepared for them is worth every moment of faith. Protect them. Guide them. Surprise them with testimonies. In Jesus' name, Amen. If this episode touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe to Christian Inspirations so you don't miss episode 2, because the journey is only just beginning, and what lies ahead will test faith, deepen love, and reveal God's hand in ways no one expects, and we would love to stand in prayer with you. Drop your prayer request in the comments, whether it's about family, relationships, direction, or a personal battle. You are not alone, and we believe God still answers prayers. See you in the next episode, where faith will be tested, hearts will be stretched, and destinies will begin to unfold.